we have almost everyone. We might have a few people trickling in as we get going. Thanks for everyone that RSVP'd. Welcome to the RBC Grand Fondo Women's Clinic.
Cool.
I'm just gonna mute you, there's a bit of feedback here. Okay, that sounds better. So I'm Laura Brown, RBC Olympian, two-time Olympian, Olympic bronze medalist and cycling coach. And I'm here to offer tips and advice and support over the next 4 weeks. So thank you all so much for participating. And like we've said, you've all been nominated by someone in your life, which is really special, and handpicked by me. And I really thoroughly enjoyed reading the nominations and why they thought you were deserving. And I fully agree. So thanks for showing up tonight. And I'm honored to hold this space together virtually once a week for the next 4 weeks. And just so excited to hopefully teach you something new, but more importantly, create some community. So let's have some fun. And some of you already know each other, so let's create more connections and develop some of our cycling skills to be stronger and more confident. So without actually being together on bikes, and I don't really know many of you at all, most of you, I think I know one of you actually, I have to imagine that we have a pretty wide range of abilities and spread of knowledge. So the saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. So I appreciate your patience if you already know something perhaps that I'm talking about, but I really don't want to leave anyone behind, and don't want to leave anyone out, and I want to bring everyone up together. So please do send me an email if you have something you'd love for me to touch on next time, or if something didn't make sense, I'd be happy to go over that via email. And I just want to mention I did mute everyone just to keep it simple. We might have over 30 folks on this call, and I encourage you to use video. I'd love to see you, and I'm sure the other women would love to see you as well. And if you have any questions, there's a chat box in the bottom here. I can't hear anything. Steph, can you hear me now? Thumbs up if people can hear me. Cool. Sorry, Stephanie, I hope you can sort that out. But that's the chat box we'll use for questions, and I'll spend some time at the end and I'll answer any questions that you might have. I'll do my utmost to stay on time. I want to honor your time, and we only have 30 minutes, and I've already rambled on for 5. So if you need to jet early, that's cool. Don't stress. We'll send this is being recorded, and we're going to send the link to you all in email after. So don't worry if you're late or if you are needing to leave early. So each Zoom will, hi Dawn. Each Zoom will feature a topic, and then the day after, tomorrow or Friday, I'll send an email with a bit of a training plan and a challenge for the week between. So very briefly today, we're going to do equipment check and an overview. Next week, we're going to change flat tires. The week after, some goal setting, tips on fueling. And the 4th and final week, we'll talk about training and actual Grand Fondo ride and any other topic that's been requested in these next 4 weeks. So let's get going. I'd love for everyone to actually introduce themselves. So I think I'll just start on my list here at the top. I'll unmute you. And if you say your name, where you live, and your reason to ride. So I'll go first. My name is Laura Brown. I live in North Vancouver, and I ride for a sense of freedom. Okay. Love it. Thanks so much for everybody for your stories. I wish we could just do a whole session. But we have almost taken up all the time introducing ourselves. You're all such inspiring women, so I'm glad we can all connect on Zoom. So quickly, with the time we have left, I don't know if everybody got the note about your bike, bringing your bike. We're just going to do a quick gear check. And I usually just think ABC. So A for air. I usually check and pump my tires about once a week or more, depending if I'm riding, but more often you do it, the easier it gets to just do a pinch test, and you kind of get to learn what this feels like and what it relates to actually on the floor pump. So I'd like everyone, if you have your wheel, to actually check for the label on your tire. It should be some numbers. Where is it? So mine is 27.5 times 2.1, 30 to 55 PSI. I see a lot of empty screens. That must mean you're checking.
Do you recommend 100 or more or less?
So I recommend right between. So whatever that range is. So mine was 30 to 55. I like to go right between. Too hard and you'll be bouncing up all over the place. Too soft and you might get a pinch flat where your inner tube actually compresses on your rim and creates a snake bite and a puncture. So for me, I'm riding really high volume tire. That's why the number is so low. But you kind of learn what works best for you, but somewhere in that range is really great. So maybe write it down as you ride and then take notes on how it felt. Also take note of what size. So mine was 27.5 times 2.1. Yours might say 70 times 25 or 700 times 25 or something like that. 700 is the diameter of the wheel, 25 is the width of the tire, and this is a really useful piece of information to write down if you need new inner tubes, because not all inner tubes will fit all tires. So to actually know what's required on your bike is really important. Somebody emailed me and asked me about gravel tires. This is my gravel bike. Gravel riding is a great way to keep fit over the winter. And you generally want to be larger than 30. 33 is for cyclocross, and that's pretty good. But I find a range of 38 to 42 millimeters is a really great range. But then again, I'm riding 2.1 inches, which is about 53 millimeters. Don't ask me why the cycling industry changes how they measure things. It's pretty confusing, but yeah, so hopefully everybody found that. With gravel tire too, you want more tread. So, whoa, you'll see this has a little more tread than say a road tire.
Did you say that your tire said how much it should be registering as when you pump it? Like the 100, like where does it say that?
On the pump or on the tire? On the tire, okay. You kind of have to search for it. So it's usually written or it's kind of bubbled up rubber. Sometimes if you feel the tire, you might be able to feel where it's written.
Okay.
Once you find it, maybe write it down, and that will tell you how much air to put in and the size of your tire.
Yeah, it just says 25-620 or 699, and then 700 times 25C.
Might have to search. Maybe it's on the other side. Sometimes they.
Okay, I'll keep looking.
Right. Yeah, keep looking. That's homework for next week. Yeah. Okay.
So Laura,
air. Yeah.
If you so I'm riding at mine at 110 every time. So if I go less, so if I go, let's say 100, what should I feel it being a difference if I ride with less air in it?
If you ride 100, so I would say 110 is actually pretty high, perhaps too high. So I would lower that. I would ride at 100 and notice how you feel on the road. So notice, are you bouncing around a little bit less?
Yeah.
You know, you kind of, you want the tire to hug the pavement.
Okay.
And so there's a bit of a misconception that lower PSI is slower, but it can actually be faster because you're just rolling smoother. You're not bouncing off of everything.
Okay.
So I would just take it down 5. You could even, I personally on the road run 90 PSI on a 25 mil tire.
Yeah.
So keep in mind the width of the tire will affect how much air you're going to put in, but I would definitely try and lower and see how that feels.
And we would feel a difference if we went like 5 to 5, either lower or higher. Like you will feel that in your tire when you're riding.
5 is pretty marginal, but I would maybe try 10.
Try 10 on either side.
Yeah. 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 Great question. And it is personal and it depends on the way you ride too. So it's good to keep track and don't let somebody just tell you you have to ride this PSI because that works for them on their bike with their tires and their body weight. So kind of figure out what works best for each one of you. Cool. Okay, moving on. B, brakes. So if you have your bike, I want everyone to just to squeeze their brakes. So if your brake lever is coming all the way into your handlebar, there should be a little bit of space here. They should feel good and a little tight. If they're too floppy or loose, or when you're braking, if it sounds like it's metal on metal, you might need new brake pads, or even new cable and housing, or a brake bleed. So your brakes should feel good. They should feel secure and solid. You can also take a visual look. So depending on if you have a rim brake pad, which is the brake actually stops your wheel from up here, or a disc, which I'm running disc here, has a caliper and a rotor. On the rim brake pad, the brake pads are grooved. And if you can't see those grooves anymore, it's time to replace your brake pads. And on a disc brake, you can look inside the caliper, and if it's 1 mil or less brake pad remaining, you need new brake pads. So definitely go to the bike shop. If you can take them out yourself and show them, and they'll just replace them exactly the ones that you've given them, or just take the bike into the shop if you're not comfortable changing them yourselves. Does that make sense?
So for a disc brake, you're never changing the disc or anything, but there is a pad inside in the lever, I guess, where it attaches to the disc, and
yeah,
that will need replacement.
Yeah, exactly. There's 2 pads inside the brake caliper, but if you don't replace those in time, you end up wearing out your rotor, the big metal thing on the hub. In that case, you might actually need to replace more of the braking system. So and same with rim brakes. So it's really important to kind of stay on top of those brake pads to avoid having to replace more than one thing. But yeah, if they're just found in here and they're a little bit hard to see, you might have to get a flashlight, or if you can, take off your wheel to take a look.
Okay, so what does that feel like on a disc brake? I know what it feels like on a rim, because you just don't get the grip, but what does it feel like on a disc?
So often your brake lever, you'll be pulling and you'll be hitting your handlebar and there'll be nothing. You could still be pulling it. And also it usually makes a noise, like metal on metal, sort of screeching. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. So another thing about your brakes is if everybody can get in their drops if they have their bike, or just make a note of this to check, you should be able to reach these really comfortably. And I find this is a big reason why people don't like riding in their drops, is because they can't actually reach their levers. So they end up riding up here a lot, and riding down here is a lot more stable. You have a lower center of mass, you have more control over your steering. But if you can't reach your brakes, then I don't blame you for not wanting to ride down there. So what you can do, again, there's a screw, or depending on your system, you can actually trim these in. So you can find that screw, and your brake lever will actually move in towards your handlebar and make it closer. So you'll feel more confident and you'll want to ride down here. Older systems, you might actually need to put a wedge in there, and that's something that the bike shop can help you with, and they would have for sale. Anybody have any questions about that?
I hardly ever ride down there. Should I start getting more used to?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So check to see if you can reach your brakes, and if you can't, get someone, or try and figure that out, how to get these closer. But then spend maybe 5-10 minutes at a time every ride in your drops, and then go back up here, and then go back to the drops, just to get used to it. But
is there a percentage of time that you think you should stay
in the drops? Yeah. It really depends. If you're in the Fondo and it's really, really windy and really hard, and you want to get more aero, then you might be down here for hours. Or if you're descending a mountain, you might be down there the whole time. But I wouldn't really say you should be there for any amount of time, but I would I would just play around with it for 5-10 minutes at a time, a few times a ride, and maybe the goal would be, 30 minutes at one stretch, because you will find your back and your body might get a little bit sore because it's just a bit more aggressive position.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. All right, C, chain. So cleaning your bike and your chain has all sorts of benefits. A show of hands, whose bike is currently clean? I just cleaned mine, so it was not clean this morning. So a clean bike is a happy bike, and a happy bike is a fast bike. And the cleaner your chain, the smoother it will feel when you're pedaling and shifting gears. No crunching, squeaking, that sort of thing could actually be due to a dirty chain. So you want to keep your friends that you're riding with happy. And also your drivetrain and your components won't wear down as quickly if you clean your chain regularly. There's less friction and grit. And by drivetrain, I mean, so this is the chain rings here. Then we have the chain cassette back here and pulley wheels. So if you check your chain wear before it's too late, you could avoid spending a lot of money, because when the chain starts wearing out, it wears out the other parts, and then you might have to replace that whole system. So it's really important to just keep your chain clean and to replace it about every 3,000 kilometers. Again, that depends on quality of the chain, conditions you're riding in, how clean your bike is, how aggressive you tend to shift. But it's really good practice just to give your chain a wipe, apply lube. You only need a little bit of lube on every chain link. Those are the moving parts. Sometimes I see people putting lube everywhere, and you don't need to, just on the chain links. Let it sit for 10-15 minutes, put your helmet on, shoes on, get ready to go. Then wipe it, because any excess lube, you want it to penetrate, and then any excess lube will just act as a attractant to grime and dirt and stuff on the road. So lube it, let it sit, give it a wipe. And in terms of cleaning your bike, I'm pretty simple. I just take a hose. I hose it down every ride. It doesn't take much time, and it pays off in the end, avoiding these big monster cleans. And then in the winter, I usually do one pretty thorough clean a week. And then in the summer, maybe once a month. But I would, just get a bucket, put dish soap in it, warm water, and a sponge, and you don't need gadgets and you don't need fancy degreasers. Just keep it simple. And then make sure you lube your chain after you clean your bike, because it'll be wet and you really don't want any rust. I see Bryn has a question. Shoot.
Yeah, I just was wondering, how often do you recommend doing the lube on the chain?
I like to do it every ride.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Yeah. I've been hearing it, and I'm like, what is this noise? So okay.
Yeah, so depending on the situation, you might need to fully clean your chain, but sometimes just taking a dry rag and just giving it, and I know I'm using my hands, but if I had a rag here and just wiping it, putting some lube on, wiping that off.
Wow, okay, I've definitely done it every ride, so good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody else have any questions about chains? I had so much I want to go over today. I'm not sure I'm going to get to all of it. It's okay. I have you three more times. Okay, I just want to check helmet. So you should replace your helmet every 3 years, which surprises me, if not more often, depending on how much you ride. The sun, the elements degrade the helmet. If you're accidentally dropping it too, that can affect it. If you've crashed, you definitely should replace it. And you've hit your head, you should replace that helmet immediately. And you might laugh, but I've seen a lot of people that have been riding bikes forever and pro bike racers wear their helmets improperly. So if you have your helmet, I'd like for you to put it on. Let's see if this works. I gotta do my hair. Y'all know this priority. So you should have no more than one, max 2 fingers between your eyebrow and the top of your helmet. I find a lot of people I see are like this. You need to bring it forward. So 1 to 2 fingers. Yeah, it looks good. I love this. I wish I could take a big screenshot in their helmet. Yeah, that's great. Another thing is it should be really comfortable to wear. If your helmet isn't comfortable, it's probably not fitting you properly and potentially might not protect you in case of a fall. So it's really important to actually have a helmet that fits. And again, if someone recommends a helmet, you really need to try it on and make sure it works for you, because all of our heads are very different. Virginia Tech has a great website evaluating helmet safety, and I'll put that link in the email. Something we're gonna do too, so under your strap, keep the back ratchet on, under your strap, and flip your head over and shake your head and your helmet should fall off. So if anybody's helmet fell off, it's probably not fitting you properly. So it should be able to stay on without that strap on. That strap is an accessory. The helmet itself should be doing everything. So if you didn't have your helmet, definitely go home and try that later and give your head a shake. Jen already has hers on. Okay, so we're 10 minutes over. Oh my gosh. Okay, the rest of it's gonna be in an email. Just a few more things. And did I get everyone's questions? Can you send us a list of all the normal supplies we should have on maintenance? Yes, I will definitely get to that. I will definitely get to that. So moving forward, we want to carbon copy all of your email addresses on that email that I sent out, just so you have each other's connections. If anyone's uncomfortable with that, that's totally fine. Just let me know, send me a note, and we can blind carbon copy. But we do really want to create that community and have all of you be able to reach out to each other. So just shoot me a note if that's not cool of you. We look so cool, I agree. Okay, 10 minutes over. Thank you so much for someone just entered the meeting, your attention and engagement, and I'll send up a follow-up email tomorrow. I'll write some of these things I talked about out in the email in case you missed them, because I started to talk pretty quickly there. And any final questions before we sign off? No? We're good?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I look forward to seeing everyone next week, and stay safe, have fun.
Tell us the challenge. What's our challenge?
Oh, you'll get it in an email.
Do it now and do it today.
Okay, maybe I'll send it tonight.
Cyprus, everybody.
We have a request from somebody in New Westminster to go for a ride. So yeah, hopefully you can all start connecting soon. But yeah, thanks so much for your time tonight, and I hope you learned something new and had some fun.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Laura. That was awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
How do I get out of here?
Leave. There's a red button. Leave. Yeah. So it's like